My name's Elko, owner at Elko Metalworks, small Midwest shop in West Michigan. Do off-road fabrication, residential hand railings, and industrial fabrication. Everything from full-on truck builds like you see behind me to components here. And this is my story. It has all happened because I was too cheap to start building my own truck up at Silver and was like, oh man, I gotta have one of these. From driving it to dinner Friday night to jumping 100 feet Saturday and helping some friends make some like bootleg roll cages. Like, well, I'm a fabricator now, so I know everything that I need to know about off-road stuff, and did not at all. He wanted it in the King booth, and we were parking in between BJ Baldwin and Robbie Gordon. All of a sudden, the back of the truck, you just feel boom, and our wheels break off. Sitting there with a die grinder, boring out these wheels. Me and side-by-sides don't get along very well. I had done Dirt Fest 1 year prior in my dad's side-by-side, and I yard filled the thing. I mean, you're over 100 miles an hour and you're jumping 150 feet. There's gonna be some pretty gnarly stuff out here, I would assume, in the next decade. And Golden Sands is like the center of our little dune scene. I don't think without Will, they wouldn't be letting us do this. Dirt Fest. Adam Johnson and his blue Baja bug, like jumping to flat basically on. Should I just say I ran out of talent? The right foot and the brain disconnect sometimes when you're trying to go fast. 400-acre sand dune is the reason why so many of our lives revolve around these stupid trucks. To be inside of one of these trucks, it's like, yep, this is what I'm doing from now on. Like, and that has all happened because I was too cheap to start building my own truck, or to pay someone to build my own truck. So I don't know, when I was 18, so 15 years ago, picked up a welder and started hacking apart a Ford Ranger, and now here we are. All of this is kind of similar to most people's stories. Grew up riding and racing dirt bikes, riding snowmobiles, hitting freestyle ramps, riding the mountains, and the age-old, well, and BMX, the age-old question, or the age-old theory that is, with age comes a cage, happened pretty quick, and sick of getting hurt, and really the Crusty Demons movies with having pre-runners jumping out of the ground and sand dunes from shots from Glamis and stuff, kind of knew what pre-runners were from a young age, but there's just nothing around here like that. So when I was around 18, I started seeing trucks like Frank Taylor's GMC at the time, and a few of the trucks that Neil Griffin was building and that Langer Racing was building up at Silver, and was like, oh man, I gotta have one of these. And so sold off all my toys and took a welding elective in college, and was working at a place that manufactured aluminum trailers actually at the time. And so I went from being the guy behind the counter to the guy out back cutting trailers and starting to weld and help design using 2D CAD, and kind of just went more into a manufacturing role as I started college, and ironically enough was going to be a police officer was my job choice. I was going to college for criminal justice, and first semester taking a welding class, I transferred it all over to a welding associates, and then two-ish years later, dropped out of college to go work for Neil at Griffin Fab Works, because I was like, well, if I don't need a degree to go do the thing I want to do, I may as well just go work for him and start making a portfolio. So yeah, it all kind of was just random to get here, but wouldn't have it any other way at this point. And it all has kind of been for the love of action sports, and this, for me, is the pinnacle. I mean, there is something to be said about being able to take your truck from driving it to dinner Friday night to jumping 100 feet Saturday. I mean, it just, like, it's incredible. And so to be able to build these things for a living is kind of surreal, and to have a truck of that caliber as well is crazy. The snowmobile stuff we were doing, I had an awesome friend group, and my dad got me into snowmobiling, and it evolved from just trail sleds to race sleds to buying a freestyle kicker with my friends, and then spending all of our money on keeping the sleds running, going out west every year, and riding in the mountains. And with the winters that we get around here now, it just didn't make sense to continue pouring every dollar that I had into a sport I could do 3 times a year here, and then we would use it once or twice in the mountains. So we got to the top of what we wanted to do in this world, and it just was like, okay, either need to move and go somewhere where I can do this more, or branch out and try some other stuff. And yeah, it happened at the perfect time to fall into working at Neil's shop, and that would have been February 2016, so literally 10 years ago. I started, and he only had one other guy working for him at the time, and the main reason he was hiring was to get a F-250 crew cab, old dent side, built for the year. He had a customer that we pretty much jumped into the deep end. I had already been making like tube bumpers and helping some friends make some like bootleg roll cages, and I had already caged my Ranger, and it was just a bare chassis at the time. So I was like, well, I'm a fabricator now, so I know everything that I need to know about off-road stuff, and did not at all. But fortunately, got in with Neil as he was growing into a spot where we didn't know it at the time, but I mean, the truck we built went to SEMA. And so obviously it was good enough to go to a cool car show. And we basically from around Memorial Day to Labor Day built a center mounted supercharged, it was Whipple supercharged dart block, LS, turbo 400 on 40s, 3045 coil bypass package, all custom coated. And we turned that truck around in basically 4 months. And it was 100 hours a week. It was, I mean, first thing Monday morning to late at night, Sunday night. We were 24, 25 at the time. So it was perfect. Felt like working on one of the TV shows. And it wasn't to go to SEMA. We were just so far behind on it. And Neil had obligated to the customer that he would have it done for the summer. And so we busted butt and got the thing done. And I remember it. This was back in Facebook days before Instagram even had like videos. And we finished it for Labor Day weekend. And he had hired more people since then. So it was me, Neil, Matt Reefer, Andrew Brooks was our welder, and then Tony Vella was our welder as well. And Neil posted 12 pictures of it to the Griffin Fabworks Facebook in an album. And it got like 1.7 million views, like 1 million likes, like 600,000 shares. And it just blew up overnight. And by the time we got back to work on Tuesday after Labor Day, he had already been on the phone with Brett King, and he wanted it in the King booth, and we were parking in between BJ Baldwin and Robbie Gordon. So it was like the most surreal thing ever to not try to get this vehicle of this caliber done for the show, but we got it done, and it kind of broke the internet. So we got asked to go to the show. And the 100-hour weeks were not over yet. With going to SEMA, I mean, that's Labor Day. So September, SEMA's end of October, early November, we had Casey Lights wanted their lights on the truck. PRP Seats wanted their seats in the truck. So it was finishing it and then adding on some things so that we could bring it to the show and then get it to the week of SEMA. And I remember it smoked a set of plugs because the tune was off slightly. So smoked a set of plugs, brought it to the dyno, changed plugs on the dyno, had it retuned, put it on the trailer, 6 o'clock Wednesday evening before SEMA. We were loading in that Saturday. And me, Neil, Andrew Brooks, and a kid that had started for us like 2 weeks earlier, Aaron Camp, we all hopped in Neil's 7.3 dually and had this $300,000, $400,000 truck on the open gooseneck, pulling it to Nevada. Left here, made it to Kansas City, no problem. That was our stop for the night. Took off in the morning, and we were almost through Nebraska, no, almost through Kansas. And it was about, I don't know, dinner time. And all of a sudden, the dually's got this nasty vibration. And Neil had talked, he's on the phone with his wife, talking to the wife and kids for dinner. All of a sudden, the back of the truck, you just feel boom. And I look back, and the dually fender blows off the side. The wheels break off, and axle's on the ground. We're skidding to a stop, get passed by the wheels, go and look, and it sheared all the studs off. It broke the centers out of the wheels. And so I'm like, all right, well, gonna have to figure this one out. And so that's on basically Thursday night. We call a wrecker, and fortunately this guy has a big enough wrecker that he can fit the diesel truck on the flatbed, and it's got a fifth wheel that he can pull the gooseneck trailer with it. So he pulls us into this little town of Grainville, and he owns the Napa. That's the only store in the place, and he puts us in the middle of the road, and we pull all the tools out, and we start disassembling the axle, because you got to pull the axle shaft out to put new studs in, and it roached the caliper and the rotor, and so like basically rebuilding this axle on the road. He had wheels, but they were for a Dodge, so the center bore was too small. So he's sitting there with a die grinder, boring out these wheels to then put our tires on it, because of course it's on some mud terrain, so you can't just put a different set of wheels on it. So swap wheels and tires over. The dually was overheating a little bit, so we fixed a coolant problem. The airbags were leaking a little bit, so we fixed a bag problem. So we got back on the road at like 2, 3 in the morning, took off, drove straight through, got to, I want to say we're around St. George. We took this would have been Friday during the day. We stopped at a truck stop and took like a 45-minute nap or so, and none of us could nap. So we just kept going. And leaving St. George, Utah, you get into the mountains and you're heading in towards like the corner of Arizona and Nevada. And right before we get into the mountains, we're going up this fairly small grade, and all of a sudden, neutrals. Just the 7.3 had a ZF5 manual transmission behind it, and going, and it just rev limiter, check all the gears, it's all rev limiter, there's no reverse. Input shaft blows out of the dually, so we're like, oh, that's it. I mean, we're gonna just have to call it. So fortunately, we had the guy that does Crawl magazine in Vegas. He was going to let us park the dually and the trailer in his shop overnight for Saturday so that we could load in on Saturday. And we called him. We're like, hey, dude, sorry, you're not going to see us tonight. Broke a trans, so like it is what it is. And he goes, well, I've got a 2019. Yeah, it would have been 2016. This is 10 years ago. So yeah, I got a brand new Duramax with a fifth wheel hitch in it. Come get it. And we're like, okay. So we had everything towed to the Ford dealer. We rented a little Ford Fiesta or something and drove the 4 hours to Vegas, picked up his truck, drove 4 hours back, picked up the F-250, and drove back to Vegas. So 12 hours of driving round trip to get back into Vegas. And we got to that guy's shop at 6 in the morning, and we were loading in to SEMA at noon. So we made it by the skin of our teeth, and that was I mean, I feel like that's everybody's SEMA story. Like you don't ever hear of people's first time at SEMA just going smoother than expected. So at this point, I wouldn't ever want to do that again, but I am so thankful for that opportunity. And at the time in my life, it was just like, that year was the biggest blur, but we did more in that year than I can even remember. And after that, we still had all the other customer vehicles at Neil's. So I mean, we had vehicles in process for, I don't know, 3.5, 4 years. I worked there till the summer of 2019, and was basically what would be the shop foreman guy. I would do a lot of the heavy fab and also get the guys up to speed and keep them going. And Neil wrestled what is all of the shop overhead and all that stuff. So we had a lot of great builds come out of there. The next biggest, I would say the next crazy build would be the Poverty Runner, the crew cab square body that we built for 2019 that ended up going to the Off-Road Expo. That is a full, that was just a cab. I mean, the customer dropped a sandblasted and primed cab off to us, and we built an entire chassis for it, put Neil's beam kit underneath it, his trailing arms. It had a 418 forged internal LS with twin turbos, and just crazy hot and cold side shoved under the hood. And that has, I mean, probably, we took 2 years to build that truck, and it probably has 2,500 of my hours just getting a majority of it done. And that's one of my favorite projects that we've ever got to do. While I was there, also helped Neil develop a 4-wheel drive long travel kit for the 07 to 13 Silverados. And Cody Watson beats the crap out of his Silverado. That thing is a testament to how well that product works. And it's nice because he drove that truck uncaged for a couple of seasons, and I mean it's as close as you can get to having like a weld-on long travel kit where you're not relocating a fuse box and you still have bed space. Like, it's a daily driver pre-runner. That thing just works. But the Poverty Runner, I mean, that was the next one to break the internet when it was done. Josh DeGraff knocked it out of the park with creating a custom color for that thing. It was like a burgundy with a black base coat with a heavy fleck. And it just is, the thing is awesome to see. That's a full powder coated chassis. I mean, that's as done up of a vehicle as you can get around here from full custom. Like, I mean, full leather wrapped, suede wrapped interior, heated seats. It's a luxury pre-runner. And that thing was the last one that I've helped finish. After that, I switched to having a normal job for a little bit. Got the tenure that I had at Neil's, I basically gained all of my now adult friends and met my wife. And so got married in the December of 2019. And so I ended up having to quit Neil's in 2019. It just felt that I needed to have an adult job where I could provide insurance for my family and start saving for retirement now that it wasn't for just me. And I had almost built an entire 1450 style Ranger at nights and weekends at Neil's shop, and sold all of it, sold everything. Just, we were moving to the house, and it was, now that I didn't have Neil's shop to work on it, I mean, there was no way I was going to build a truck of that caliber. So I ended up just starting from scratch. And the leaving this fabrication lifestyle and going just to a normal job, the funny thing is the insurance was there, the healthcare, the 401k, all this stuff was there, but I was still working. They worked me 12 hours a day, Monday through Saturday, and we were starting to work on Sundays as well. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to be working this hard, I want to do something I actually like. And so we have started taking stuff on the side, and oddly enough, my brother and sister-in-law were like, hey, you make metal, you do metal stuff, like you can do roll cages and stuff. Can you think you could do some hand railings for our house? And so it's like, well, I mean, it's got to be easier than roll cage. It's just making some squares, you know? So I got to do a couple sets of handrails, and one thing led to another. They're friends with a general contractor, and he got my number from them and needed a bunch of work done. And so I went and learned how to bid jobs for hand railings, and I'm like, well, if I can start doing this, I'm just going to quit my day job. And so I really quit the day job to do like general construction type fabrication. And then with that came gaps in my scheduling. So then inevitably people started needing stuff done on vehicles, and I started saying yes to it. And now it's turning into, I'm right back to where I was at Neil's. I have a customer that just dropped off a cab and wants a full chassis. So it's more of a Ultra 4 style chassis, straight axle front. But it's going to be coil bypass. We settled on I think a 418 supercharged drivetrain, 4L80 Atlas T case. It's going to be on 42s, full nice interior. And then what's behind me, that is one of the last vehicles that drove into Neil's shop. The customer wanted him to finish it, and he's just more in a time of life where he's spending time with family. So he asked if I wanted to take this one on, and this is getting 1UZ turbo with some custom-built Toyota transmission, T-case, and some big Toyota axles. And he's got some really nice parts, full custom Kings, Innovates, 40s. Going to do a nice interior. Going to do like a partial EXO interior cage so that it can have a bimini top and the hard top that's on it. And so I'm kind of right back to making full custom vehicles. And then I also have a really good current client list that I've helped just grow their trucks. And so I'm starting to close myself off a little bit to taking on more work so that I can continue to service my current customer setup. And so I'm really in a pretty convenient spot to have not fully focused in on either the residential stuff or some industrial, just randomness, or all the vehicle stuff. It's really made it so I can do this in my backyard and keep the overhead down and build some really good relationships with all the customers that I have. And so rather than taking on more vehicle projects, the next step for me is going to be offering some componentries for guys that are building their own stuff. So behind me, you see, this is the first axle that I've tried to make. And this is a customer that has faith in me to make it happen and have a quality product for their vehicle. So going to start with axles and trailing arms and link pivots and go from there. The goal would be to have like a chassis that if someone wants to build a vehicle, it's like, okay, well, I already have a chassis, so we're going to do this. And if you want to do a center mount or an A-arm style chassis with trailing arms, we can pick the cab and drop the cab on it. And, I do my chassis in-house, so I know that they work and I have parts available at a reasonable time frame. So that's kind of the direction I see myself going so that I can just keep more things in-house. And yeah, that haven't even crossed the path yet that I fortunately have one of these dang toys too, which is a crazy story. So in that same year of 2016, Austin Barron's was having a big beam kit put on his Ford Ranger at Neil's shop. And when we got back from SEMA, that was kind of the first thing that I got put on. And so I helped get the beams under the truck, suspension in it, steering built for it. And it also at that time had gotten like CNC ported heads from Frankenstein and a big cam and an intake. So I was getting retuned, and just at the stage of life we were all in, became really good friends with Austin. And for the whole time I was at Neil's, even after hours when I wasn't working on my own stuff, like we'd be tinkering on his Ranger too, making it more and more and more. And I mean, that thing has had no expense spared on it when he owned it, and same thing now that we own it. But yeah, in 2022, my wife and Austin conspired and came up with a price for the truck, and she ended up surprising me by buying the thing. And so, yeah, we fortunately had the funds to make it happen, and she chose that against her better judgment, we may as well put all the money we have into a pre-runner just for me, which is incredible. And so, yeah, we got the truck, and I immediately broke it. Like 5 seconds into owning it, basically, we took it up to some trails, and I broke the axle and broke the transmission. So it's like, well, welcome to owning a pre-runner. It doesn't hide from any of us. And so I've had a great time getting to bring that thing kind of to its final phases. I mean, it's as done as it can be without really going super far backwards. And yeah, the past 40 years of owning it, it's been gotten a full interior, redid the back half, redid the body because I rolled it. So yeah, rolled it at Dirt Fest the year we got it. And then fortunately it was just a roof skin and a door that got kind of smashed up into the fiberglass. So spent some time re-engineering the front a little bit, put a big radiator in it to help keep temps down, and Raptor converted it. Fiberworks helped me out on that. So it only made sense to make the thing look really nice. And so, yeah, that has been Raptor converted now for 3 years. And then last year, cut the back, like half of the back of it off, and put a big fuel cell and spares behind it. And yeah, I mean, I have a vintage air system for it, heat and AC, and I've got a fuel or a Safecraft fire suppression system that is sitting on the shelf waiting to go in it. But it's time to move on from that truck because I'm ready to just be an adult again. This is on the trajectory of making an adult decision. So gonna cash out of the thing and put some money back into the business and our home and into retirement, because small business owner, haven't been putting enough aside for eventually not doing this. So, and it's keeping me from cutting the truck apart more. Like every year, I like to have my own projects still. So, yeah, I think the next step is, if I'm going to build a chassis that I'm going to offer to people, I want to make sure it works. So I'll start from scratch and build a chassis, whether it's more dedicated towards like Dirt Fest, more racy. I mean, I would love to do like a Pro 2 off-road truck hybrid, something that's not quite as low to the ground as a Pro 2, but something that corners really flat and that still is fast, because we have the event here, and our dunes aren't nearly as gnarly as like Baja or Glamis. So like, I think I can make something work pretty good. So rather than cut my truck all back apart, I'd like to see somebody enjoy it. And it's really a turnkey unit at this point. Like, been just doing maintenance the past couple of years, other than the added stuff I do. It's just change fluids and go drive the thing. So it's been more of a date night mobile than anything, but it works great. And I'm sure someone that just wants to get into a truck that works good, and you can either go jump the crap out of the thing or smash whoops, then here you go, just push the button. So I started my shop at our old house, and there I had 600 square feet. And my wife had a business at the time, and it was doing exceptionally well. And we had decided that maybe we should get a new house, as everybody does once they start making some decent money. So instead of getting a house, we sold everything and said, well, we might like the mountains. So why don't we go out west for a little bit? And we didn't make it very far. We only lasted like 5 months. We sold all of our possessions, sold everything. I kept some of my tools, and we moved into a diesel pusher RV and made it to Tennessee and to Arizona, North Carolina. And just started missing some family stuff, and was like, it's going to be so hard to like pick up here, me start my business over here, and not have any help. And we were really missing nieces and nephews' birthdays and Christmas and all this stuff. So we gave in, came back to Michigan, and got to kind of start over. Moved in with my mother-in-law for a minute, and it's like 5-6 months, and just got a normal day job again for that same 6-8 months or so. And fortunately, it led to this building. This house was for sale by owner on the road, because this building that I'm in now was a marijuana grow op for a distributor or whatever it is, dispensary. And so since it's legal in the state of Michigan but federally illegal, you couldn't get a mortgage on the house because they're federally backed. So we called the guy, walked through the house, made an offer. Offer was accepted that day, but we had to kind of play with the bank because it had weed in here. And so he had to get his weed out and had to prove that the weed was out before we could get a mortgage on the place. And so this is a 30 by 80 shop now. And I'm working toward, and because it was a grow op, I've got 400 amps of single phase power. We've got 3 acres here. So this is a big enough building for me to stay in. And it's worked really well up until this point. And now I'm kind of just needing to reorganize, building an office, building a bathroom, making it more of a business rather than just a shop out in my backyard. But yeah, just without making all these decisions to start over multiple times and to just like, oh, screw it, we'll just sell everything, we'll get different jobs, we'll keep going. We wouldn't have this. It was I guess risky. I don't know. It worked out, so it couldn't have been that risky. But I'm fortunate that my wife is on board with all of this. Like we are equally willing to just throw caution to the wind and make a life that works for us. So she still works from home. I work in our backyard, and this shop is more of a blessing than I can even explain, really. Like I want to try and stay here forever. Like my whole working career, I want to work here. Like this is the dream. So not really trying to like make it's really hard as a business owner to not want to have like this super crazy successful and like big business. But I really don't want to add so much onto my plate that half of the time I'm sitting in my office going, wish I was just working in my backyard again. Like, so trying to keep it pretty low key here as much as I can. And just keep working in here and having fun. That's the goal, and making cool stuff for people. That's even better. so yeah, that we would have moved back in like 2020. We left in November of 2021, and we were back by April of 2022. And then Shelby bought the Ranger in April of 2022. So like we just came right back and started right back into our same friend group. I had done Dirt Fest 1 year prior in my dad's side-by-side, and I yard sailed the thing. So side-by-sides, me and side-by-sides don't get along very well. I'm a terrible driver. And so, yeah, the Dirt Fest experience is kind of what keeps a lot of people roped into pre-runners in this world. I mean, I have friends that I knew back from motocross when I was a kid that randomly were at Dirt Fest because they had 2 broken feet from racing dirt bikes, and they're like driving home on race desert buying a off-road truck because they're like, oh, Dirt Fest is the coolest thing ever. So yeah, this little pocket of a scene that we have is so hard to replicate. The amount of growth I've seen it have in the 10 years that I've been involved heavily. I mean, pre-runner invasion was like 5 vehicles. You know, it was Tyson and Luke and Craig and Brad Yost. I mean, there was just a handful of trucks. Morgan Heat-Dirks and Frank Taylor, like those were like the first trucks around here. And it has grown every year now. At Pre-Runner Invasion at Dirt Fest, I see 15 trucks that I've never seen before. And I'm involved. I mean, I talk to everyone that builds around here, and people randomly DM questions all the time about trucks, and I still see trucks that I've never seen. It's honestly, we are so lucky to have our Dune little family that we have, because it really pushes people to build nicer stuff. We are very fortunate to have some pretty nice vehicles around here to set the standard and show what is capable of being done at the dunes. But then we also have, I mean, our Dirt Fest brings out guys like Blake Wilkie and the Eisenhowers, and Michael Cox was out here with 2 of his builds, and seeing trucks of that caliber go through the terrain we go through, it really puts it into perspective, like how many different levels there are to this game. I mean, it's funny now having a fully built truck. Like, I miss the feeling of a single coil-over front I-beam Ranger with Devers, because 35 to 40 through the dunes feels like you're going so fast, and it's sketchy. And now to get that same like sketchy feeling in my truck, you got to go like 80. But then to get that same adrenaline sketchy feeling in like Nick's 6100 or Blake's Bug, I mean, you're over 100 miles an hour and you're jumping 150 feet, and it just is like, it's insane. Riding in some of those trucks has ruined me, because I want to feel that, but from the left seat, not the right seat. So it's really cool to have the amount of variety of vehicles around here, and the continued growth of the sport, because it sets the tone. I mean, these things just keep getting better and better and better and better. And I can't even imagine what this scene looks like in another 10 years. I'm sure it'll have its highs and its lows, but we have enough quality stuff out here and enough people that are bringing parts from out west over here that, I mean, it's gonna keep just expanding, and there's gonna be some pretty gnarly stuff out here, I would assume, in the next decade. Time at the dunes, like I've been going to our sand dunes, since I was 5, 6. My dad had a square body Suburban, like a 6-inch lift and the classic Baja belted 16 by 16, 90s show truck wheels. And he had a pretty sweet Banshee that he built. And so we would go up there all the time and go to the beach with the Suburban, and then he'd rip his quad around. And that, I I don't I didn't realize that not everybody had that experience growing up. Like the sand dunes. I grew up 30 minutes away from the sand dunes, so that's just we'll just pop up to the sand dunes, hang out for a little bit. But it was funny. It's funny now being around a lot of people at the dunes. Like the first time they're there is sometimes when they're in their 20s, 30s. But it's not. I don't remember the sand dunes as a kid being what they are now. Now the sand dunes is like you go up there, maybe rip 2 or 3 laps in the trucks, and then you go hang out at Golden Sands. And Golden Sands is like the center of our little dune scene, and so that has been awesome. I mean, the Calendas are just way too nice to us, and I know that they are very tolerant of us. We take over their restaurant and their golf course twice a year. They shouldn't let us do that. It's probably the biggest pain in their butt, to be honest. And but they're gracious enough to let the riffraff come in. And fortunately, their son Will is way into this whole life as well. So like, I don't think without Will, they wouldn't be letting us do this. And so, yeah, I mean, now that I'm older, I feel like the center of the dunes is really like the community that we have, and it's more so about hanging out at the campground or hanging out at Golden Sands than beating on our trucks in the dunes. I mean, that's just kind of a secondary fun thing. But yeah, the community of our dunes is great, and my whole friend group has been. I mean, that's the thing that we bond over. We make a point to go to the dunes, and we've had it even like me and Josh, not this past season, but the season prior, we used Onyx from my house and mapped taking only trails to the dunes and the pre-runners. So we drove for 3 hours in trails to get to the dunes for night run, and then drove around in the dunes all day, and then took the highway home. So, it's evolved from only being able to trailer up and hopefully we don't break things to like the trucks are so dialed in that just leave from the house and we can drive them to the dunes now. We'll put a bunch of miles on them and then go hammer on them and then drive them home. And so, yeah, I mean, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, I would have said you're crazy that we could even do something like that. But it's been a wild ride. Dirt Fest. Dirt Fest. So the Dirt Fest that everybody sees now is not where it started. It started the same way that Pre-Runner Invasion started. I mean, all of this has been such a grassroots type thing of just a small group of people. The first Dirt Fest wasn't even called Dirt Fest. It was Dirt Alliance Dirt Tour. And it must have been early spring of whatever year that was, 2018, 2017. Tyson and Luke randomly went to Valley Motocross and put like either a live video out or a small little clip of them driving their trucks on the dirt bike track, and like sent our small little group of friends into a frenzy because it was like, oh dude, we have to go there. Like, how do we get invited to go do this thing? And they're like, well, we're trying to get an event together. And they did. And it was another just small little like group of friends. It felt like, I mean, it feels like there was only like 20 trucks at Dirt Tour the first year, but there was probably more. I couldn't tell you the number, but there was still plenty of parking, plenty of camping. This thing has turned into a monster. Tyson sells out Valley Motocross more than any of their dirt bike races. I mean, it's their biggest event of the year at a dirt bike track, and we bring trucks there. But yeah, the first year, I mean, it was as grassroots bootleg as it can get. It was like mostly open track with a little bit of time trial. And they did have a long jump built for us. I remember that. It was like they took where their current long jump is, is just like a long tabletop, and they put a face in front of it, and the takeoff ramp was so bad that Tyson could barely get to the top of the tabletop, and so they canned the whole idea and just did the long jump over the triple. And I remember Adam Johnson and his blue Baja bug, like jumping to flat basically on that thing. Same with Wilkie and his, I don't remember the name of this thing. What is it? Wilkie and his Megalodon. Is that the one? I don't know. Either way, it's like his smaller V-dub bug, the class 5, I think it is. But yeah, him and the two bugs were jumping to flat on the triple, and that was like the long jump for that year. And yeah, it has turned into such a ginormous event that it's almost like we got to kick the side-by-sides out and they need to figure out their own day, because like the biggest thing I hear is there's so many trucks that guys aren't getting enough as much track time as they want, which I get it, but you got to be. It's still such a grassroots event that if you want to get enough track time, you can. You just have to pay attention, and you have to listen to when open track time is and be on it and get out there. So I think that's could be part of why people don't get enough track time. But it's really cool to see that has turned into kind of what our whole scene kind of orbits around. I mean, Tyson has big vendors coming out for that now. So, I mean, it's put on by Method and XComp. And so it's a standalone event now on its own. And it brings a ton of people, and it gives us it's funny, I'm just kind of putting this together, but us truck guys, like, we have to have pre-runner invasion in the spring. I mean, that's all of us have to have a deadline for our winter projects to get done for that weekend, to drive our trucks once. And then if you have anything to fix from there, you have your deadline of Dirt Fest. And then you've got Dirt Fest, and you've got a week's worth of thrashing there. I mean, I remember back in the Griffin Fabworks days, like, the SEMA crunch was Dirt Fest crunch. I mean, I know the Langer boys do this too. They're rolling in at 2-3 in the morning with the semi-load of trucks that they just finished. And that's how it was back at Griffin Fabworks too. Like, work all week, nonstop, 10 o'clock at night to get there Friday at 2 a.m. To go drive around the track. And we have to have those days. These trucks don't get built without large pushes like that. And so it's really nice to have a couple in our season that like force you, like, oh, well, if you don't make pre-runner invasion, you at least have bought a month and a half of time to get the thing done for Dirt Fest. And it's funny to see that those two events are like the two things people strive for. I have customers right now that, like, we're redoing a back half on a truck with trailing arms and an axle and all the stuff. And at the first of the year, it was, let's get this thing done for pre-runner invasion. Now it's already, hopefully we can get it done for Dirt Fest. So it's just kind of the nature of this game we play. Should I just say I ran out of talent?
To you.
I mean, it's true. Yeah, Dirt Fest, I have a 1-3 record at. You know, I had completely wadded my dad's side by side. I mean, the tabletop after the triple, the same year that Slanker went to flat and Ben Pond broke his back, literally the next practice out was side by sides, and I was one of the first ones out and lawn darted side by side, like 30 feet past the landing on the skid plate, broke the passenger front off and the driver's rear off of the thing, just completely throw the thing away basically. And then the first year I had the Ranger, I rolled the thing in a corner. And so me and my dad fixed it side by side. I fixed the Ranger. And then the next year I went out with the Ranger and I did a few laps of practice and I called that good. I had to have 1 year that I don't just tear something up that I bring there. So, and then the last couple of years, it's just sat and looked pretty because I'm not re-roof skinning my truck. yeah, I'll have to buy something with a fiberglass body for Dirt Fest that I can just pull the body off of and get silly and not make myself more work, because I already have other people's stuff that I got to work on. So I got to prioritize that. But yeah, I've ran out of talent more times than one at Dirt Fest, and fortunately, nobody got hurt, neither of them. So I mean, that's the only saving grace here. But yeah, it's inevitable. Someone at Dirt Fest is on their lid, and unfortunately, it was me. I've seen friends now. Actually, guy that this axle's for, he's been on his roof. Yeah, it just is what it is. The right foot and the brain disconnect sometimes when you're trying to go fast.
You want me to grab?
Hey, he hasn't rolled his truck. He's bicycled it a few times, but he hasn't rolled it. But yeah, I mean, off-road and fabrication has just like brought me to a life that I didn't even like know I wanted, really. Like I really wanted the toys, but yeah, just being broke and having to learn fabrication instead of paying for it has really paid off. It's been the most challenging but worthwhile thing I've ever done. And I have all of my friends from it. I have the coolest stories that I can think of. You know, the life I've got to live at 33 is abnormal. It feels when you're stuck in this little world and you get to see everybody else doing racing all the time and doing all this stuff. It feels like you're not doing enough. But man, this is my normal, and that's really cool. And I mean, we've gone to Oklahoma with the trucks. We've gone to Little Sahara. Every year that we were out at SEMA, we would go to a different shop. So got to tour Richer Racing with Andrew Cho, Ocho Fab, and then went to Darren Parsons the next year and got to drive in his Ranger out in Ridgecrest. I mean, that just like riding in a race truck on a race course, like dream come true. And then yeah, now I have friends all over the country because of it, and I say all over the country. I have friends in SoCal because of it, and in Wisconsin. But yeah, this is more than a sport around here now. It's like, you know, this is people's whole lives, and I feel like every corner of the automotive world has things like that, and it's awesome that 400-acre sand dune is the reason why so many of our lives revolve around these stupid trucks. It's weird to think that now I'm becoming one of the old guys. You know, I'm an unk, as the kids say, and it's more so than that, though. It's really cool to see a lot of the young kids have a passion for this. You know, Will from the golf course, Owen, you know, that whole group, and Matt, the kids that are all low to mid 20s right now that are getting to walk through the stuff that I did. And, you know, from the outside looking in, it's like, you guys are setting yourself up for spending every dollar that you ever make and every ounce of free time that you will ever have to go drive your truck a couple times. And, but it's a curse. I don't know what it is. It's something that as soon as you feel you get to be inside of one of these trucks, it's like, yep, this is what I'm doing from now on. Like, I don't have hobbies anymore. I don't have anything else. And if you're smart, you save up some money and you just buy a finished truck. Like, that's my advice to any young kids that don't want to follow this path like me, that feel like you're broke and can't afford one of these. Save for years, because it's going to take you years to build one anyway. Save for 3 years and buy something out west that works. Or just know that you're going to spend 1.5 times more money and every ounce of your free time, but you will also acquire tools and skills to be able to maintain it and fix it. So there's a trade-off to buying, but they're the kids that are willing to just, I mean, shoot, yeah, I'm stoked to see the quality of work that Matt Berlin is doing. Owen with a little guidance. I mean, as a kid that does excavating, I say give him a few pointers, and he's sending me videos the next weekend of like cage fully redone, tin working. I'm like, it's really cool to see, because that means that this is going to keep going, and so that means I got to keep getting better, because if I teach some of these kids all the stuff I know, then they're going to pass me. But yeah, no, I don't see this scene going anywhere, and to think that some of these guys may look up to me like I looked up to the Tysons and the Langers and Mike Baker and Frank Taylor, like when I was in my late teens, early 20s, seeing these trucks at the dunes, like it's cool that I get to be a part of now that next generation to help influence guys to get in the shop and build some trucks, because if you want it, you can get it. It's just time and money, and it's worth all of it. This is the coolest hobby to have.